Ladies and gentlemen, uh, stop listening. Sorry, I had the voice recognition on. Ladies and gentlemen, individuals are having to go to bankruptcy court. Now, what the bankruptcy court is doing, and most people don't see it, is that they're denying you several rights. And some people will say, I know they were denying me rights. No, you don't gotta tell me that like you're telling us something new. Well, to those people, I say, shut up. I apologize. Those people they shouldn't even be listening to my videos. They shouldn't be talking to their computers or anything like that. They should be put away in some type of a building with walls and bars and doors and nurses and that type of stuff. Anywho, the bankruptcy court is doing something that you are not aware of. In the 1800s, when they came up with the original Bankruptcy Act and all of these procedures and everything for bankruptcy, ladies and gentlemen, bankruptcy was supposed to handle controversies. Now, to some of you, that doesn't mean anything. But to those of you who know the law and who understand the Constitution, only an Article 3 court could handle controversies. Well, there were no bankruptcy courts in the 1800s. They didn't create that until, what is it, 1976 or 88 or something like that. So they created the bankruptcy court a century later. They didn't take out the controversy part, they left that there. That never went away. And so the Supreme Court has said that you have the right to ask for a trial by jury in bankruptcy. Let me read it to you. Oh no, the worst thing in the world they could have done is created a GPT system where I get to ask these questions. In summary, the Supreme Court in Grand Finance, that's one of the primal cases, it's called the Grand Finance precedent, explicitly agreed with my premise because the system didn't tell me this. I realized this because I'm working on some appeals and I've been asking for trials by jury in bankruptcy court. Because remember, the original bankruptcy was supposed to be exclusively preserved and retained by the district court. The bankruptcy court is an Article 1 court. You had the right to be in a district court, but they do what's called a referral to the bankruptcy court without a hearing. You cannot take away a substantial, constitutionally secured right and convert it to a privilege. Then they make you voluntarily petition the bankruptcy court. No, I'm not putting myself in servitude just so that you could have a convenience. But this is what it says. In 1898, the Act Separation of Proceedings and Controversies was a statutory embodiment of the core equity versus plenary law distinction. This distinction was designed by Congress to preserve the right to a trial by jury, he says jury trial, for legal claims, controversies. Modern bankruptcy code consolidation of these functions into bankruptcy court cannot, consistent with the Seventh Amendment, strip a party of the right to that trial by jury they would have been entitled to under the original statutory scheme for such controversies. They claim, well, that's what the adversarial proceeding is. No, that's a hoop. You want me to jump through hoops. I do an adversarial proceeding and the bankruptcy court dismisses the bankruptcy and subsequently the adversarial proceeding. Got a lot of stuff that I got to add to the petition, but I got 3 briefs to work on and they are not the same. Okay? I cannot do the same brief for each person. I'm doing distinct briefs, and then eventually I will put that information and make it available so that you all can have the arguments that are placed in all 3. It's not going to be the same thing, it's just not going to be the same cases and the same sentence structure. You feels me? All right. If you ever receive a template from somebody, you have the GPT models. Take that template, put it back into the GPT model, and say, explain this. Okay, now place those in 5 paragraphs stating the exact same principles and add 5 case citations supporting that principle structure in context. And it will give you what you need to produce your own petitions. Yay! However, be very careful because some of you think that you're being specific when you ask your questions. GPT model doesn't work that way. Okay. And so that's why some of you are getting some mixed responses. Now, They have. I tested out some of my GPTs yesterday. Let's do this. I'm gonna do a test. I have not amended any of the GPTs except for one yesterday. All the other ones I haven't touched. So we're gonna find a GPT. I'm just gonna select one. Let's do Covington Law Pro X Gen because I did the presumption killer. Let's see. There you go, Covington. Man, I've been looking for you. Oh, and you're set to 4.0, and you're not supposed to be at 4.0. Oh, well, it's supposed to be at 5.1, but it's at 4.0. Let's go ahead and make sure that that's a typo on their part. Let's see. No, it's 5.1. So I think it gives you the message. It says, pay attention, last edited November 30th. That's today. I haven't edited this today. You feels me? Unpublished changes. I haven't changed anything. You feel me? So they go behind. Um, you're gonna. This is going out on the 10th, or right about the 10th. You're gonna see the video where I do the video saying how they flagged my account saying that I had violated their policies, and I wrote them back because I was kind of pissed off. You don't accuse me of fraudulent activities. I won't allow it. I don't commit fraud. I'm not doing fraud. In the past, you better believe it. But in this day and age, I'm not allowed to. The God I serve says no. Well, didn't he say no back then too? You better believe he did. And that's what happens when you ignore him. You have to suffer consequences. I suffered consequences. I am not doing it no more. I learned my lesson. So I don't allow people to just accuse me of fraud. I don't care what type of junk they're smoking. It just doesn't happen. I try to fulfill all my obligations. So the last thing I'm going to say to those of you who have gotten any one of our programs, we have provided you with the information. Yes, yes, yes. We're not going to give it to you all at once. That life doesn't work that way because it wasn't our job to give that to you. We provided you the credits. You have them. We provided you a means of obtaining the credits. We have them. Excuse me, you have them. And then we provided you the information showing you how those credits can be converted into assets because they are assets, they're property. And property, when they're converted that way, can be converted to cash equivalent. Ta-da. What you need to know is that your mortgages, when you deposited them, those are cash equivalent items. All, pay attention, eligible paper deposited with the Federal Reserve. Any promissory note that was deposited with a Federal Reserve agent and they accepted it and did not timely dishonor it, it's cash equivalent. It's the same as cash. That's why we were having people do the 1065 K1 because it was a receipt showing that they received the credits. Ta-da. Again, we gave you everything, all of your SAT packs, the amount that's in there. You need to start recognizing what you can do. Some people thought they were shortchanged. How can you receive $100 million times two and say someone's shortchanging you when you only paid a couple of $100 or a couple of thousand? When I say a couple of thousand, no more than 2,500. How can you say that when you can write that stuff off, credit it to yourself, transfer it, start a company, use it as accounts receivables? There are too many things you can do with it. We stay within the law. We follow the law. My hope is that some of you will finally come to understand that. Well, as we said, this thing about bankruptcy, the right to a trial by jury is preserved even in bankruptcy. So start raising the issue. Go back to the original bankruptcy act of Congress and it's being capable of handling controversies. The bankruptcy court cannot handle a controversy. It doesn't have the jurisdiction. Only an Article 3 court has that. If you ask for a trial by jury, then your bankruptcy doesn't get kicked out in a couple of weeks like they're doing these days. Oh no, they lose all of that footing that they had before. All right, gotta go. Y'all take care. Less than 10 minutes. Hey, that's how we do it.